Do you think football players are working class?
Absolutely. And you want to know why?
I've seen that argument on I don't know, somewhere on the internet before, but I've never really like delved into it like that. Man,
kids in college, they work. They don't have any rights to their image or to their likeness or any merch.
No. The NCAA is like extremely fucking just gross in the way that they make so much money off those kids and they don't pay them anything.
Yeah, and I mean, okay,
disgusting.
If sex work is working class, then so is sports.
Playing, yeah,
that
makes sense.
Anywhere where your labor, where your body, you're selling your labor, you're selling your body, you're selling your future, being comfortable walking up and down stairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're I consider that working class, because those guys, they don't make the real money. Mm-hmm. The people who make the money are the agents. Yeah. And the sports teams. The agents,
the owners
make money off of every deal. The owners make money off of the stadium.
Yeah.
The cities pay for their stadiums.
Yeah.
The owner, the team can
I guess
monetize their players.
They're workers for sure. Now that I think about it like that.
Yeah. So they're selling their bodies to make, hopefully enough money to like balance out the medical bills that they have later on.
Yeah, hopefully.
Theoretically, you quit. You get a good rookie. You have to get drafted really good your rookie year. You have to not take too many hits, so that you're still valuable. So, but then you can also get like a position where you're not playing but 2 games a year, and you're still working out, but you have time to invest in other things, and you get really good at managing your money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hopefully how you make it out. And that's like a mechanism to make it out of poverty for a lot of people.
Oh no, 100%. There's a reason that like the idea of being like a sports star is so fucking prevalent in disadvantaged communities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of the few ways that you can you actually feel like you have, I guess, some chance of getting out, because
because anybody can make it if you're good enough.
Fuck yeah, it's not. It's like it's supposedly it's supposed to be like strictly merit based.
It is, until you realize that the whole Brady family is is just all tied into years and years of football, and the quarterbacks are the ones that get the big deals. Their faces.
Are they the ones who kiss on the lips?
Or
is that Eli? Is that the Mannings?
It might be the Mannings.
I think so.
Tom Brady, I haven't heard that.
Let me see. Oh, it is Tom Brady. Tom Brady kisses his dad on the lips. That means he's actually he's a fucking Chapo Trap House member.
Oh, okay. Yeah, CTH, the original r/CTH, not CTH2.
Yeah, being gay with your dad is like the number one rule there. So he's who knew Tom Brady was a Chapo cell.
Psychic Dolphin Garage.
Hello, everybody, listening to another episode. This is our bonus episode of from the Psychic Dolphin Garage. We're here in the Psychic Dolphin Garage. It's me, myself, and I today, and I have a friend of the podcast, a guy I've been kicking the rocks with for a while. It's Raul.
Hello. Beep 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 beep. That was my air horns.
Raul's podcast is Authentic Discourse.
Yes.
And air horns are kind of their thing.
Beep 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 beep. I actually don't have air horns. I was just making my own. That's what was going on there.
Yeah. I don't have the sound pad up to do the air horns for you. So
no, it's cool, dude.
I might add it in post, but I probably won't, because
no, I like acoustic. I personally enjoy acoustic soundboards. So
acoustic air horns, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's just a didgeridoo, all right. How have you been?
I've been good. I'm coming off of some personal shit with a breakup, but I'm trying to keep myself focused, because I've been self-employed for like 2 or 3 months now.
Right.
And it's like, it's getting to the point where I can almost quit my job. Still have a job 2 days a week, but it's getting to the point where I can almost quit my job. I just need to push like a little bit harder. And I mean, there's no better feeling than having control over your work. So
Absolutely. Not being exploited for the excess value of your labor.
exactly. And I mean, creatively, like, I'm trying to get into doing a lot more political stuff, but I like we were talking about before we started recording. I don't have any post-secondary education. Like, I have a high school diploma, and I'm obviously not a fucking complete idiot. But yeah, I've just been trying to work into that. And then, like, because our podcast is not inherently political. Like, we touch on a lot of political things, mostly social issues. But it's not inherently, like, the purpose is not inherently political.
Yeah.
So
Raul's
just
podcast is cool. His is a lot easier to listen to than mine, I think. And Raul, you're a lot more like in touch with Dallas music scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say we do a lot of like music people, photographers, artists, like filmmakers. We recently had a girl who does like vegan baking. We have had nurses, just all kinds of people from all kinds of different walks of life. It's kind of our podcast is kind of a melting pot in that, like, the guest lineup is usually pretty varied, and the topics are like it's almost like it's almost, I hate to say it like this, right? But it's like TMZ kind of meets the Breakfast Club. We do a lot of current event stuff.
Okay,
just kind of analyze
I was gonna say it's like Joe Rogan, but if Joe Rogan wasn't just stuck on YouTube and the algorithm didn't lump him in with Jordan Peterson and Stefan Molyneux.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I hate to make Joe Rogan an analog to us because he has like such this reputation as being just like a fucking like
you're like the you know when they have the list in the Christian bookstore, it's like alternative to Metallica.
Yeah.
This Christian band, alternative to Joe Rogan, Authentic Discourse.
Yeah, so I hate to be tied into him like that, but we do get that a lot. And it's like there's 2 people who host it. There's me and my co-host. And we have we just brought on a production guy. So now we have like have you ever seen Steven Crowder's? I know, fucking cursed. But have you ever seen? Yeah. You've seen Steven Crowder's content? Guy? Yeah, where he has Not Gay Jared in the corner and shit. So we have a Not Gay Jared, but he's just like not as much of a fucking chud. So yeah. Hey, look.
Anything that's an alternative to right-leaning media is okay with me.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, there's some. I mean, I try to very, very, very subtly like red pill people.
Right.
But I mean,
we can't all be 100% politics all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but a lot of it ends up being like just talking about like fucking TV shows and shit. And I try to sneak in as much like leftist stuff in there as I can. One of the things that I really run into is like taking a concept that I've really been trying to work on is like taking a concept like maybe like alienation or labor exploitation and like making that more palatable to like a relaxed like mainstream like
centrists, moderates.
Yes, yeah, like trying to give them those ideas without using the verbiage so it doesn't just like fucking scare them. Normies are fucking.
Yeah.
Normies
Whereas on this podcast, we're just like kicking and screaming, dragging normies down the alt left pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be a variance in rhetoric, in like how overt the ideas come out. Like that's kind of how you win people over in the long game, is just like hitting all kinds of different fucking sectors. So
having content out there where not only are you cool, but you also read.
Yeah, but no, I want my fucking my political stuff. I want my political stuff to be pretty like, because I mean, I probably fall into like the dim sock category, right?
Right.
But I would say like in theory, in my head, I'm probably closer to like libertarian socialist. I wouldn't say like all the way ANCOM.
And I'm much more like, I'm definitely ANCOM, but I'm, almost libertarian socialist.
Yeah.
And I just need to fill out, like, we're strictly a non-reading podcast.
No, I'll never read theory. The only theory I get, is from Amazing Atheist videos. Don't at me. I'm totally kidding. But
yeah, no, we're not reading podcast, but like I've been trying to fluff out my Libertarian-Socialist because, as I kind of mentioned, our alt-left pipeline needs a lot more robust figures.
Yeah, and that's
at different points, and that's actually what the episode today is going to be about. We want to talk about. I kind of brought it up to Raul. We kind of batted it back and forth a little bit, talking about what is the pipeline from right libertarian to left libertarian.
Yeah.
Specifically, because once you're left libertarian, like you're kind of okay with the rest of progressing into whichever label you want. And I haven't chosen a final one yet, mostly because they confuse me and everyone yells at each other about them.
Yeah, so, I'm super, super, super anti-sectarian. Like
I'm agnostic leftist.
This is one thing that the left is lacking that the right is really good at. The right is really good at falling in line. I understand that there's discrepancies in the way that people want to reorganize society, right? But we're not going to fucking get to any of those places until we overthrow capitalism. Once we get there, then the tankies can come and try to fucking kill me or whatever. But till then, I just want everybody to be able to work together, and we need to get better at more or less. I feel like falling in line is a bad way to phrase it, but that's what we need to do.
There certainly are good critiques of, third world issues that arise when white leftists, I'm talking about me, not Raul, when white leftists want to, impose their plan over, the subjugated nations that our nations have subjugated for years and stolen resources and land and life from.
Yeah, 100%.
So there are valid critiques, but I'm all for listening to them and also enacting change in my own spaces when and where I can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just don't like sectarianism. And I mean, I get it. Tankies are fucking insufferable, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not gonna fucking work with us, then whatever. But I just think that people should right now, attacking each other is the worst thing we could be doing.
Attacking each other and not learning from each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, like you said, there's valid critiques. Everybody has valid critiques, all around each other. Yeah,
I think the best way I can explain it is that there is a separation from right and left politics, and I think there's an objective separation of them, and I can clearly point out where you were wrong if you were on the right. Where I believe you're wrong. The things that I take issue with in your worldview and your interpretation of political issues. But once you get on the left side, I'm pretty laid back about that's a good take.
That's all right.
That's a fine take.
Even if I hate your take, I would try not to be a fucking asshole about it.
Yeah. So, I do want left unity.
Yeah.
I also want there to be really good theory behind it all. But I also want that theory to be accessible to a lot of people. So
yeah, for sure. And well, first of all, I just wanted to add that when I read YouTube comments, I probably become a tanky for a split second there. But I I said, I was telling you before, I don't have any post-secondary education. Everything I've learned about politics, I took economics and fucking government, of course, in high school. But everything I've learned about politics has just been me looking, seeking things, trying to win arguments, shit like that. And I kind of would like to reach an audience with my content that's follows pretty much the same path, because I think a lot of working class people, especially in disadvantaged communities, I think that most of them, you could get them to more or less get on board with a lot of leftist programs. It's just the messaging is not there at all. There's a huge disconnect between people who are at the lowest rungs of the working class and actual fucking any kind of political parties or politicians or anything. People don't even believe in those institutions in a lot of places where I grew up, and people in circles that I know. So I'd like to be able to reach an audience like that. You could call it the ratchet left.
The ratchet left.
I'm trying to get there. That's actually pretty classist of me, but
That's bad optics for my redneck revolutionaries. I don't know if they'd be okay with the ratchet left.
Yeah. No, come on.
I feel like there may be some. I feel like there may be some inherent issues that we'd have to work through before we're all ready to identify as ratchet left.
Well, okay, if you're dirtback left, you're pretty much already ratchet left. Okay, so
no, I agree. I just mean like the blue collar workers I work with.
Yeah,
ratchet means something else.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm joking, of course, and that's like an extremely classist and fucking maybe like even a little bit racist joke.
I don't feel like it's classist.
But
I don't feel like calling it ratchet left is bad. I just think that's.
Yeah,
I wish that I could, my dad agrees with some points I make sometimes, or he says something about, oh, the man takes all our money, and I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with that. And he's like, and he gives it to black people in the form of welfare. I'm like, whoa,
man, slow down, Dad. I wasn't on board with all that.
Yeah, so
yeah, no, but I feel you. But yeah, I think that there's like a very severe lack of political rhetoric that speaks to like people in the inner city, and of course like the left does have like roots in that, but it definitely hasn't been like a thing in the modern age.
How am I supposed to canvass neighborhoods with the DSA if I'm working 2 jobs?
Yeah, how am I supposed to go to a town hall meeting if I have to go home and feed my 4 kids by myself?
How am I supposed to go to a town hall meeting if I have to work that day?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to argue with people online when I have, a shift and then I go home to my kids and that's all the time I have with my kids?
Yeah, or like how am I supposed to fucking care about political systems when like these kids at my school are like trying to pressure me into joining a gang and they keep saying they're going to kick my ass? Like there's
the fraternity experience is valid.
Yeah, for sure. There's no 100% no. But no, there's nobody speaking to that sector. And so I'd like to be one of the first voices to actually like put something out that has substance and that makes these things a little bit more understandable to people who are working class, don't have post-secondary education, don't really care about politics. And I think that the fact that I do like an entertainment podcast, because honestly, our podcast comes off a lot like a web show. We do like live video. We do live video. We have guests like that are creatives all the time. So I think that having like an entertainment background, it kind of helps me reach out. And like I said, like a lot of times I'll drop things that are actually important in there. A lot of times, like we talk about like at least one political subject every week.
Yeah, and they come off as kind of spicy takes sometimes, depending on the guest.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts is that like a lot of people who are like who are like inner city or just like don't pay attention, apolitical, they're it's kind of like a lot of these concepts they've never even fucking heard of them, and it's cool to just like throw something super spicy out there, well, that is going to be super spicy to somebody who doesn't pay attention, and just kind of watch the reaction to it as a leftist, even though it's like pretty, well, honestly my takes are pretty lukewarm most of the time.
You can't just lead with guillotine CEOs.
Exactly.
Build up to that.
Although it's cool to tell people that it's okay to guillotine CEOs in Minecraft sometimes.
Yeah.
You gotta throw those in there too.
That's why I like the Trillbillies.
Yes.
I love anybody with a really southern accent that starts talking about like leftist theory. That's fire. That's a great aesthetic, honestly. It's my favorite aesthetic because I grew up in Texas, in Houston. I grew up with a family of rednecks, and all I ever heard for years was not very woke takes.
Yeah, I'm
so
sure.
Yeah, so seeing my people, making like badass, revolutionary takes is something that's kind of shifts that whole East Coast like, oh, the rednecks voted for Trump. It's like I don't know about that. I feel like maybe you're on like this horse and he's a little bit too tall for you.
Yeah.
The britches look a little loose on you. You know what I mean? So anyways, let's dive in.
Yeah, so when we first talked about this is something that I wasn't really aware of existed, honestly. Like, libertarians tend to be libertarians, quote unquote, tend to be like really, it's honestly hard to tell the difference, first of all, between
very online libertarians.
Yeah, very online libertarians pretty much look like fascists at this point. But anyway, it's usually pretty, I mean, I hang around in left circles, of course, that like fucking blends into ANCAP Facebook. So it seems like most of the time, especially like people who identify as libertarian, a lot of times they're cool with like the helicopter memes, and they just seem really, really disgusted by leftism. So it wasn't something that I was like entirely aware of, honestly, when you first like brought the premise of the podcast up.
Yeah. I think that online libertarians are different from like the Libertarian Party are different from like not quite like social justice libertarians, but much more politically knowledgeable libertarians, people that it's not just an expedient sort of position, because it's not just well, I don't really like what the Democrats are doing, like I have to vote third party. Or it's not just a, well, I really read a lot of John Locke and that's all that I know, so I'm a libertarian. So I think that enough information has been brought out about the pipeline from libertarian to alt-right, and I don't think that there's enough discussion about how people radicalize online, how they self-radicalize, or how their worldview grows. Because I grew up Republican household. I was a member of not the like young conservatives, young American stuff, but I was involved in like a Tea Party group, and it was all high schoolers, and we had people come and talk to us about the Libertarian Party and the Tea Party and how all this stuff was going, and it sounded very good in that time. It's like, yeah, we're about liberty and all these good things, which are still the main tenets of the Libertarian Party. Basically, it's natural law, property rights,
personal liberty,
personal and economic liberty, and that sounds really good until you start kind of getting into the bushes about like what those mean specifically.
Yeah, most of that revolves around property, honestly. Yeah, most of that ends up like going back to property.
Exactly, which is frustrating, because property is like discussion about the nature of property is something that for the libertarians specifically, Thomas Paine and John Locke talked about, but predominantly on the left, a lot of that comes down to Marx and Kropotkin.
100%.
And anarchist writers who have names that are way too long, and writings that were done centuries before I was a sparkle in my mother's eye.
Yes.
So I think that when you are not exposed to ideas that other people have that are maybe labeled as social justice or identity politics, it starts out sounding kind of it is framed as ridiculous to you by the people in your life. And you kind of grow up, oh haha, those snowflakes or whatever.
Yeah. And then I feel like a lot of like in the last couple of years, a lot of like sociology 101 concepts have just been like fucking picked and like just thrown into the public discourse, and it's led to a lot of it being misinterpreted really, really, really grossly.
Yes.
So like and a lot of them, their only interaction with like leftism tends to be something like that, like some SJW cringe compilation,
which is so unfortunate. I like reading about that stuff. I really enjoy sociology, psychology. I got a lot into psychology and during my psychedelic years.
Yeah.
I was into psychedelic culture and psychedelic writings, cosmic consciousness, the doors of perception, heaven and hell, all the writings of all those writers who say things that are really cool, but they don't end up saying things. And so
it's kind of just like this long...
it worked for me because I ended up wanting more, and so I went searching for more, and the more I went digging, eventually at some point, after I've gotten banned from so many left book groups. For being a reactionary chud. I deserved it.
Yeah.
but after searching, you find something and you're like, oh, thank God, here's an answer for my one question, and now I have 800 more.
Yeah, for sure.
Which it's great that the answers are out there. Not everybody wants an answer as badly as I do. How badly do you want to win an argument to spend 6 hours, looking online for the perfect comeback to somebody that said something, and then you go back and it's 12 hours ago was their last comment. You're like, oh, I got him.
Yeah, or
fucking got him. You ain't ready for this.
You end up having to read this fucking 2,000, 3,000 word article, and then you're working, and and then after you do that, you have to extrapolate the point from it, and then form an argument, and then by that time that person probably is already fucking engaging with somebody else in another thread already.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's frustrating. But it's good practice for people that have the time and that are angry enough to want to do that.
Yeah, and honestly, that's mostly the way that I fucking radicalize, is just being God, this guy's such a fucking prick and a chud, and I know he's wrong, but I just don't know how to say it. And just seeking out information like that. I've gone through such a fucking ideological transformation in the last 2 years, because I was I was never an outright fucking fascist or chud or racist or anything, but I was a hardcore centrist, a YouTube centrist, and there was a lot of shit that I thought wasn't racist that is, or just that I thought was didn't have an impact, but it does. Now I see it, especially when it comes to speech and things like that. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this.
No,
but in the last 2 years I've radicalized pretty hard. Yeah. In the last 2 years I've radicalized pretty hard like that through through online discourse, pretty much exclusively.
Right. Which, point to the centrists. Yeah, all it does take is sitting down and having a discussion with someone.
For sure. And just don't fucking fall for the Red Scare shit. Actually look into these ideas.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of, I was looking back on it, I was very close to being, crossing over and being well, I guess it's okay that we're genociding these people because, we got to maintain the balance of order that we've had for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. How else do you explain Middle East policy if it's not, well, we just got to keep the area in a constant state of unrest so that we don't have, another fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Because every era of man, every era of civilization where the previous great empire was fallen, it was when the Middle East had a period of peace,
mm-hmm.
and then there was uprising and overthrowing of the larger countries that were established.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it's I mean, I guess we might as well just nuke them. And then it's well, that doesn't sound right.
I think that I now that I really think about it, I think that libertarian, I feel when now libertarian is such a fucking, it's so associated with right-wing dipshits, but libertarian to libsoc pipeline kind of makes sense now, because a lot of them do have a basic understanding that the system is broken. They just think that the things that are they think they're just wrong about the nature of its brokenness. They think that it can be fixed.
Yep.
as opposed to
they think that the system itself isn't bad, that it's bad actors essentially.
Yeah,
and I think
exactly.
that I agree more with libertarians than I do with Stalinists.
Yeah, for sure.
Which,
bottom unity.
You know, yeah, exactly. Fucking all the time.
Yeah.
Me and my 4 bros in the club.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gay club. Bottom unity.
Bottom unity, baby.
Yep. Which is good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we should, at the end of the day, everybody should be more or less united against top right quadrant.
Yeah, it's just like, it's what capital does. Like, if it can put it on individuals rather than the system itself, it's always going to.
Exactly, and that is the base. You know, like you said, the basis of it is capital, and there is a certain point where a libertarian realizes that they're anti-capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
And there's several mechanisms that I think exist to do that. There are libertarians that are crypto bros.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The point you made earlier about like libertarians being crypto bros and how Bitcoin is inherently anti-capital, that had never really occurred to me. But it makes a lot of sense because, you know Marshall, right?
Oh, yeah.
Marshall used to be a communist. I don't know if he was like a Stalinist or whatever. I don't know if he was like hardcore.
I don't know if you saw in our Discord, my personal Discord, our gaming Discord, but I had the whole discussion with him, and we basically do agree that he is at the core, like he's anti-capitalist because the technology that he backs, that he wants to spread out, that he wants people to adopt because it's better technology than what exists.
Yeah. At
its core, it is taking capital away from capitalists and dismantling the power that they have over the quote-unquote free markets.
Yeah, and it's like more decentralizing, which is always good.
Yeah. And like at their core, libertarians want market distribution of resources. And regardless of the widespread effects of market distribution of resources post-capitalism, the idea that the market is the most efficient means of distribution while capital is controlled by the ruling class is ridiculous.
This meme made by Ansin Gang.
True. Regardless of libertarian libcaps and libsocs disagreeing on class analysis. Class analysis existed long before Marx.
For sure.
Class analysis is super important, especially in the face of trying to unify people under different banners. Like the response to class analysis not working is all these different identifiers that people have that they use in their day-to-day lives that are important to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's not as much. First off, there's not as much writing about it.
For sure.
God help you if you read it all. You're God help you if you read it all. You're a better person than me. Not only is there not as much written about it, I don't think, but also it doesn't get to the core of what causes the issues.
For sure.
As many people can see that there are issues. Fox News, there's never been more division in this country. Okay. If only the left would stop being so radical. It's like, nope, missed it again.
Yeah, it's like it kind of reminds me of like Tucker Carlson, because a lot of his rhetoric is like populist. It's not necessarily left wing, but it is populist. Like it addresses the working class. The elites are fucking, pulling the strings and running the whole puppet show. He adopts a lot of our verbiage. At this point, Tucker Carlson, I'm pretty sure he's like a white nationalist, but
he's everything but like out and out admittance.
Yeah, he'll like almost get to the point and then fall on his ass.
Yep, and he just reverts back to, well, it's because their skulls are shaped differently.
Yeah,
it's like, ooh, that's a little mask off.
Anything to keep the class analysis away. Anything.
Yeah. And understanding that capital is controlled by the ruling class, and capital is what keeps us, keeps minorities in poverty.
Yeah.
Keeps the working class from from their fair wages.
Yeah.
It's what
we really got to rise up.
It's what keeps third world countries at keeps them subjugated to our
constant need for cheap electronics and clothes and things like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this historical imperialism that we've forced upon them through our military, through our military might. The same capital that the U.S. Federal Reserve gives us and then taxes us.
It kind of reminds me of the Epstein thing. Yeah, they kind of like it's the Clintons. It's definitely the Clintons. Anything to avoid like genuine class analysis.
Yeah, it's the Clintons or it was Trump.
Yeah, it's
Orange
not,
Man bad.
Yeah,
butter emails.
Butter emails.
Yeah, and it's all reduced down to like two problems, and then it's like, all right, like we could all agree that like we're both getting fucked, right?
Yeah,
like we're both getting fucked.
That was actually kind of nice to see. Like this week on social media was that like most of the right and the left were kind of like suspicious about the conditions of Epstein's death. It's
kind of hard not to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you start venturing into some like really conspiracy theory territory with that, but I don't know. There's just way too much going on around it, and
I don't know. We used to say that that the rich hide their money offshore so they don't have to pay taxes on it, and lo and behold, the Panama Papers came and went.
Yeah, that used to be a conspiracy theory. MK Ultra was a conspiracy theory.
Everything starts as conspiracy theory. I believe Minion Death Cult mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. They're great.
And their take on it, they're fun guys.
Yeah.
I enjoy some of their stuff.
They're great. I love them. I love their fucking. I'm a Chapo cell, and then I listen to like Minion Death Cult every now and again, and then I listen to like streamers who debate people a lot, or just do like long form essays on like live.
Yeah. I absolutely, you should be listening to all the leftist theory out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give yourself a better base to discuss things from.
For sure, 100%. That's kind of something I've found in this is that like building these arguments, you end up like really, really diving in, and I would say like most people who on the right who try to engage online are pretty surface level about a lot of shit. But then you do run into like either fascists or just people who are like a little bit more radical, and they really like to dig into the bad faith arguments.
Yeah, and you have to not only do you have to be willing to engage with people that are pushing actual propaganda, and there's no way to like present information and discuss it in a rational way and have people be willing to change their minds because they've been presented with evidence.
Yeah, at that point it becomes a rhetoric game.
Yeah, and it's more about who sounds coolest.
Yeah, and I think that there's some value there, and I think the left is starting to catch up, right? Because for a long time we were like pretty behind on that. Honestly, like we were getting our ass handed to us on that front for a while.
Yeah,
but I think we're starting to catch up a lot, and I think we're starting to get a lot more influences in our community who are like, a lot less afraid to get out there and really like play the rhetoric game and not be afraid to like engage with people just because you don't want to platform them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from, people that are willing to discuss theory have read a lot of books. And it's off-putting to sit down with someone and have them start using language that isn't very familiar to you.
For sure. And that's a big barrier to leftism too.
Yeah, and which is again why I love, you have a southern accent and you just say things, they sound right coming out of you.
Yeah.
To me.
No, I feel you.
People sound right.
Yeah.
And that's the best feeling in the world, is being like, oh, I agree with this person. And not only do I agree with him, it feels good to agree with him. It's not like, well, technically this fucking nerd, is telling me that, oh, property is, private property should not exist.
Yeah.
Like, I guess he's right.
But it's like, it kind of reminds me of like racism and veganism, right? So like a lot of I feel like a lot of the contempt that people have for race, like for race, like arguments that prove that racism is a thing, right? And that veganism is morally correct. Because if we're being real, like, veganism is morally correct. It's the morally correct position. I'm not a vegan. The contempt there, it doesn't come from the idea that they're right. It comes from the idea that the way that you've lived your life is wrong. Like, people have all these like established beliefs that rely on these fundamental ideas, and telling them that way of life is like morally wrong or whatever, like just that it leads to bad outcomes for other people. It offends them because they don't necessarily want to engage with the idea that maybe their behavior was immoral without them realizing it.
Yeah, and also when you're challenging someone from moral grounds, when you're saying everything that you've known is wrong, there's no response to that.
Yeah.
That's not a discussion. That's not a let's, discuss maybe some ideas together. It's everything you've done is wrong.
Yeah. And people take that personal because if the system is wrong and you've succeeded under the system, does that fucking make your achievements like a little bit less valuable?
There's no ethical consumption under capitalism, first of all.
Yes, for sure.
And secondly, we need more class traders.
For sure, 100%. If I ever make like some ridiculous amount of money, I would definitely still be a class trader. I mean, I definitely would be.
Class trader, I mean, I'm gonna do cocaine, enough of cocaine for everybody in the neighborhood. Don't do cocaine, kids. It's bad.
No, really bad. Trust me. Really expensive.
Yeah, that's why it's bad for you, because it will take any success that you have and it will flush it down the toilet. Because the only way that you're allowed to be successful is through generational wealth. So good luck being born in the right family.
Good luck, guys. Hopefully you win the genetic lottery.
Yeah. My most annoying take on veganism.
Okay.
And the most correct, most annoying take on veganism is that plants have systems designed to detect damage.
Oh yeah.
Or quote unquote pain. And even though it is not technically a central nervous system, and they don't necessarily have a consciousness that is similar to humans, they still detect damage and pain, and they have
systems to
chemical
avert
responses
those things.
to that. Yeah, they have systems respond to that, and they respond to that pain in a way that is similar to all animals in in the animal kingdom. And so it's just as immoral to hurt a plant as it is to hurt an animal.
Huh. That's valid. I would say them being conscious, kind of I would say being like animals being conscious, it leads to them like experiencing a little bit more suffering. But what if plants are just like the Borg and they're like a hive mind?
Yeah, no, that I totally think that it's reasonable to be like, well, animals have an emotional response that is most similar to humans, and because we think that hurting humans is bad, hurting animals is bad.
Yeah.
I also think that once we delve a little bit deeper, especially into like mushrooms and kind of the hive mind style thing, like I think that plants are a lot more conscious, quote unquote, than we give them credit for.
Oh no, I could definitely I would definitely be comfortable entertaining the idea that maybe plants experience a lot more than we realize. I think that's a really valid take to me, honestly.
Yeah, so that's the most annoying, like most correct take I could possibly make.
Yeah.
And I try to eat a lot of vegan food because it's better for you. I feel better when I don't eat as much red meat now. Like I remember when I started working out a lot, I felt better when I was eating more protein into my diet. And now I work in an office. I get vegan frozen meals for lunch, and we cook a lot of tofu. Yeah. And we use a lot of meatless stuff because it tastes fine, and I feel fine when I eat it. If we have, all vegetables for dinner, we do roasted veggies, we do seared veggies, we do grilled veggies. It's all good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I still put butter on it, so,
I still eat a lot of trash, but I get a home cooked meal like 3 or 4 times a week, so.
Nice. Yeah. We got very into cooking, and not giving your money to fast food companies is praxis, because all that they use it to do is pay management companies to run Twitter accounts to get you to buy more fast food.
Yeah, and dunk on each other.
Yeah, and it's like fun for a little bit. It gets really fucking old.
It's really weird too, honestly. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, capitalism sucks. All it's designed to do is generate more capital to
preserve
spread
itself
around to. Yeah, because the only way that it continues to exist is by expanding, because everybody constantly wants more.
Yeah, so
like,
do you think that like right libertarians, right? This is kind of going back to what we were talking. I was gonna like steer back into it because I'm still trying to understand this pipeline, right? And I think that the first step to that pipeline is probably, this is like my number one fucking critique when I talk to libertarians or ANCAPs, like anarchy and capitalism pretty much fundamentally incompatible, right?
Yes.
Because capitalism itself, it's like it has an inherent hierarchy to it, and anarchism is supposed to be about the elimination of unjust hierarchies. So do you think that's like the first? That's definitely the first ideological step, right?
I think that there is, in my specific worldview, I think that anarchism allows for hierarchy, in a social order sense.
Yes.
And like this person is an expert at this. So
no, yeah, I agree.
But specifically like reinforced hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
The police do not exist under anarchism, because there's no need for police, because there is not a need to protect capital in order to reinforce a hierarchy based on that capital.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it that?
Which I know that like ideas of property and what capital is and isn't. I don't think we defined those specifically. So maybe this will kind of go over some people's heads. But according to the dictionary, capital is wealth in the form of money or other assets owned by a person or organization. So basically, capital is physical USD. It is the concept of a building being owned by someone,
or the machines
land
inside
being
of it,
owned by someone, the machines inside of it being owned by someone, of someone accumulating things that they will never use.
Yes.
Which is, it's kind of, that's when you get into like defining private property versus possessions. Like, it's kind of nebulous if you try to apply it broadly, but when you get into like specifics, like I have 14 keyboards because I collect keyboards.
Yeah.
Because I think keyboards are cool. That's not private property. Those are possessions.
Yeah.
I don't have 14 wrecker trucks that I pay 14 people to drive around.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then take all the money that they generate driving those trucks for me.
Steal all the wealth that they generate driving those trucks.
Yeah. Steal the wealth to generate and then pay them back a meager amount. So
I've found it's really hard to make statements about property, like really sweeping statements. It's a lot easier to just like take something. Like, take a small example, like you just did. Like, take a lot smaller of, like you really got to get into the details or use some kind of example that is a lot easier to relate to people. Because if you just say, like, the means of production, that's so fucking vacuous to so many people.
What are the means of production? Is that my hammer?
Yeah.
Is it my nail gun? Is it my truck that I use for work?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all of those things, bro.
Yeah.
So if you want to get into reading about libertarian class theory, I will include a link in the description. It's I guess an essay by Roderick T. Long, and he talks about class analysis and libertarianism, and I got about halfway through it, I think. It's kind of fun. It's a fun thought project, and it's kind of interesting. I don't think that class analysis is necessarily so important to get you from right libertarian to left libertarian. Like, just looking at the way that society is set up, especially when you start talking about cronyism, because that's the big keyword that they use on the right is cronyism.
Yeah, that's their.
And when you say
that's not capitalism, that's crony capitalism.
Yeah, and cronyism is bad. Absolutely, like fucking free exchange. Free exchange is absolutely important. and allowing people to live in a society where, like we said, personal and economic liberty are the most important concepts. You have to look at what is restricting personal and economic liberty, and you can point to the police. A lot of libertarians, ACAB 40%, fuck the police.
Yeah, that's not a hard sentiment to get them on board with.
It's not. It's an easy one because there's so much evidence of it around us. What do the police exist to do? The police exist to enforce the laws of the land that protect capital for the capitalists.
Yeah.
You're not a capitalist if you own a home and you have 3 roommates,
Yeah.
You're a capitalist if you own 3 homes and rent it out for above market prices to families.
Yeah. Exactly.
That have children. You're not a capitalist if you're, if you have an iPhone and you talk about things online with other people. You're surviving inside of a capitalist paradigm.
Yeah.
The police exist to protect capital for the people. What's something else that restricts your personal and economic liberty? Education.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Access to education. In Houston, in Texas specifically, public schools are funded by
property
by property taxes. Yeah. And I think that under a good system, your property taxes would pay for all of your utilities, and you would just pay once a year. Everyone would pay once a year property taxes, and that would pay for their water, electricity, gas,
for sure, and
internet.
Yeah, and of course, those things being organized that way. Like if you fucking live in a neighborhood where nobody owns a home, and the property isn't highly valued, of course, the fucking education you're gonna receive is gonna be subpar.
There is, if you look, I do this constantly. I have it saved like 6 times in my phone. I can't find it any times, but every time someone brings it up, I go and I screenshot the Houston, I believe South Houston High School.
Mm-hmm.
And it has that like old library look with the gravel walls and like the tan bricks.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. I know you know what I'm talking about. It's got the big white strips all across everything. That's South Houston High School. It's atrocious looking by today's standards. And then you go look at Cinco Ranch High School, and Cinco Ranch High School looks like a college. It looks like a college campus.
Oh yeah,
they have
I see.
A giant football stadium, and they have like this drive where you drive down, and it's got the trees and the flags and everything. And
damn. Yeah, this place does look. Holy shit! Yeah, this place looks like a fucking college campus.
Which one do you think is part of a high income neighborhood?
It's pretty obvious.
Definitely South Houston, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely South Houston.
Yeah.
Those rich people, they don't give a fuck about school. Have you ever been to Duncanville?
Duncanville, Texas, in Dallas County.
Duncanville, yeah. Okay, so Duncanville High School is a bit of an anomaly, right? It's a huge school, really well funded, really well built, because Duncanville was a really small town for a long time, and it's been urbanizing like really quickly in the last like 10 or 15 years. I went to this high school.
Okay.
And they have like, it's amazingly funded. Like they have postgraduate, not postgraduate, but like trade school type of programs. They have cool. They have programs like that. Like they have like they have fucking cosmetology, welding, all kinds of media production, whether that be like film, graphic design, recording. They have like huge, massive stadium and shit. But like a lot of the population is working class, like a lot of it. And it's because it's like urbanized so quickly, but the school started being funded when I was a kid still. And like, you get this like, there's a lot of old money in Duncanville. There's a lot of like old, like really old money, like people who've been there forever. So the high school is funded really well, but you have a lot of working class people there. I wish I would have taken advantage of it, honestly. I was fucking around a lot because, like I said, it's just been urbanizing pretty quickly, population density. You know how it works.
We all gotta spend our time.
Yeah.
Pay our dues. Fucking around.
Yeah, so I wish I would have taken advantage of it a little bit more, but it's a bit of an anomaly because you have a lot of working class kids going there, but the town itself has like a lot of working I mean, a lot of old money in it, so the school tends to be like really, really nice and well funded.
Yep, that's very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I was really lucky
again,
for that, honestly.
Yeah, and I think the Lone Star system in Texas is okay at best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not terrible. It's still, taking money from people that should be getting a public education, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's still another example of capital affecting personal and economic liberty. You can't get an education, you can't get a job. Yeah, you can go, get a blue collar job. Blue collar jobs, like I worked in construction. I saw the guys that were, welders and electricians that are trying to, got their journeyman license, that are trying to work hard to get it. You have to know someone that will take you in and do that.
For sure.
You have to work for shit bosses. You have to work for people that hate you and don't want to pay you enough money and don't want you to succeed. They want you to pay your dues.
Yeah.
No matter how old you are, no matter how long you've been working. I've been in construction since I was 15.
Yeah.
I was, I have 7 years of experience. I've been doing construction longer than most of the guys that are like 30s that are doing it like because they don't have anything else that they can do.
Yeah. That's going to pay them that much.
Start doing labor. Yeah. And nobody respects you because you're young. Nobody respects you because you're not driving up on the job site with a 3500 diesel. I'm driving a 1500. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, it's shitty. No matter which no matter which way you come into it.
Yeah, I say this all the time. A lot of conservative thought, like a lot of their philosophy, revolves around like living in a really punitive world. Like if you don't suffer for every single little mistake you make, society's not valid to them. Like
it's like if not pragmatism, if stoicism, but also blended with like the self-sacrifice of I want to say Hinduism.
Yeah.
I believe Hinduism, like the you have to punish yourself and all the karmic stuff.
Yeah.
Like if stoicism and like karmic Hinduism kind of blended in the worst sense, like they took all the bad parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were just like, yeah, living is suffering. It's like, well, we're well aware. Now suffer. Wait. No, stop.
We shouldn't do this.
This is a bad idea, Grandpa.
All right.
You had it easier, Grandpa? No, I didn't. Fuck you, Grandpa.
So you think flipping these libertarian boys, you think most of it comes down to just like changing some of their ideas about property?
I think that changing their ideas about property will help them along the way.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that. I think you said it before. Backing people into a corner makes them, fight harder.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is like over time, like flipping their ideas on property.
Yeah, flipping. Yeah, if you still hang on to Enlightenment era philosophy on property and on personal property and property rights and natural law.
Yeah.
Then it'll be kind of a struggle to start reading different philosophy and get away from the Enlightenment era and start digging into modernism, postmodernism,
postmodern
cultural Marxism.
I was just about to say postmodern neo-Marxism.
Yeah. It'll take a while to build those ideas out, and especially when you're rebuilding your worldview from a new starting point. When you encounter something that just breaks your worldview, when you have to rebuild it from somewhere, it takes a while to start adopting everything. Like I had to go from I love guns. I have owned guns my whole life. I've shot guns. I've shot animals.
Yeah.
I've gone hunting. It's fun to own guns.
Uh-huh.
I've gone from that to gun control works, and I think that I can agree gun control does work in other countries, and countries where we don't have 3 million miles of borders, where we aren't 50 different countries, 7 different cultural regions divided up by 2 giant mountain ranges and millions of acres of desert and grasslands.
Yeah, it's the most American thing ever that we have a huge yard.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It is. That's so fucking. It's quintessentially American.
You struck me all the way back to when I was 14 years old and mowing lawns for money. Jesus Christ.
So I'm looking at this this essay. Is it an essay? That's what it looks like, by Roderick T. Long that you posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he said, for the purposes of this essay, I propose to define as libertarian any political position that advocates a radical redistribution of power from the coercive state to voluntary associations of free individuals. And I think that's kind of where we can find common ground with them, right? It's like I said, they understand that the system is inherently broken. They're looking at the wrong root causes, like conservatives tend to do.
Yeah. Like, we agree that the outcomes are bad, and we agree that there is like things that should be changed.
Yeah.
We just disagree on what the root causes are, and again, it's hard to get away from cries of cronyism.
Yeah, I think we disagree on like the fundamental sources of this power, right?
Yeah.
Like like, because for us it's always going to go back to capital. It's always going to go back to private property. But for them, it's individuals. It's cronyism. It's I don't know what I'm not really sure what they think leads to cronyism, but
central banking.
Oh yeah, central banking.
Once you start going down that path,
fiat currency,
it's only a matter of time until you hit, capital is, and the state defense of capital, the state definition of capital is what is causing all these things. And I, pushing people towards that answer is essential.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, honestly, it kind of seems like they're most of the way there. It's just like getting them to actually point that finger and say, "Oh, it is capital." That's like the
right libertarians. The theology, the ideology of right libertarianism grew up around anarchism, around libertarian socialism, around geo-libertarianism, which is I want to say it's like related to syndicalism and mutualism. A quote that I pulled out from Geo-Libertarian was, "Land and its financial properties belong to everyone, and that to hold land as private property would lead to immense inequalities, including authority from the private owners of such ground." So, right libertarianism grew up around people talking about the issues within right libertarianism.
Yeah. And
they are so closely related to anarchist theory that it's almost ridiculous that that the modern libertarian thinkers have managed to reject.
Yeah, it's such a fucking meme. It's such a fucking meme ideology in that sense, right?
Yeah. And if you try to find like libertarians that are pushing out theory today, all of them, God, there was one that I was reading, and he said it was like, and so all of the societal issues go back to these like cosmopolitan universalists, and it's like asterisks, and at the bottom, cosmopolitan universalists, Jews, and I'm like, oh fuck, there it is. Okay.
I'm fucking dead. And I was gonna make a point, but I can't even remember what it was at this point.
I mean, I think Milton Friedman is like one of the big libertarian.
For sure, he's their Jesus for sure.
Yeah, economic libertarian, and they talk about how the market will, how the free market will do things, and it's like, yeah, the free market operates off of capital. The free market doesn't exist. If you took away the capital that the free market operates on, you would live under anarchism.
Yeah.
Anarchism. We don't want a lawless land. It's like, look, buddy. You're the one that's saying that there's something wrong with the status quo. So,
yeah, this is just like the logical end of your fucking argument, dog.
Well, I think we've pretty roundly beat the bush. On this subject. I don't feel like there's much more that I have to say, really. Is there anything else you would close us out with?
I think that this conversation itself is really valuable, right? And I'd like to go over this literature that you've given me and come back to this discussion again at some point, because like I said, like, this really didn't even occur to me that it could be a thing, like that it was like a significant thing. when we first talked about it,
Yeah.
but like now that we've sat down and actually like fleshed a little bit of it out, there's a lot more. I feel like there's a lot more that libertarians and libsoc people can agree on than I thought there was to begin with, honestly, because I just like I tend to like dismiss libertarians a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I think most people do, because at this point they're kind of a meme political party. Like a lot of people don't really take them serious, but like I was saying earlier, like they're a lot more of the way there than most people realize. I think most leftists realize. Like if you can just flip like some fundamental axioms like property and what constitutes like where the problems actually come from, if you can just flip them on like even those two things, like you're doing a lot of the legwork in getting them to be a leftist, honestly.
All you have to do is undo the years of right-wing pundits twisting left ideology to fit what their worldview is, and then regurgitating it out to these people.
Yeah, that's probably where a lot of it comes from, honestly, is this like right-wing adoption of populism.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, as important as reading theory is, like, you know, we're not going to win people over by being the nerds. We're going to win people over by being cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So
and that's why I want to fucking do political stuff, is because I want to fucking, like, I want to dunk on chuds too, okay? And not only that, but like, I don't want people to like be watching it and be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, I know he's right, but what is he talking about? Like, I want people to be able to rally behind these things.
My problem with, like, you know, trying to argue in good faith a lot of time is I'm way more radical than I was. And I need to step back a lot of times and like imagine where I was 4 years ago and be like, oh God, okay, all right, what is like something I can say that will reach this person? Because what didn't help me when I was trying to figure out these ideas was somebody telling me the end goal. I needed the middle pieces. I needed the steps in between.
Yeah.
You know? I don't need top of Mount Everest and base of Mount Everest. I need the 1,000 steps in between.
Yeah, for sure. And I like whenever I argue with somebody online or like debate somebody, I tend to think of it as like, I'm not trying to flip that person. I'm trying to flip the people who are watching, like the people who are observing. Yeah. A lot of the times. And I think that that's like we were talking about with like the right being willing to engage in bad faith. Like, I hate to say this, but we have to be willing to engage in bad faith sometimes, just for the people who are watching, just to flip them.
I can see that. And like just like if someone's being an idiot, just call them an idiot. Like, it's not worth your time all the time.
Oh, for sure. No, yeah.
You know, 4 pages of an argument.
Yeah, just don't be afraid to call people fucking morons and then explain to them exactly why they're morons. And even if they're not going to flip, like, you might fucking sway somebody who's watching.
Do it for the likes.
Do it for the clout, fam. The clout will set you free. The clout will liberate the working class. Okay. Holy shit!
Karl Marx is fucking rolling in his grave now.
Karl Marx failed to predict the power of clout. So
Das Clout.
I'm fucking dead.
The conquest of clout.
Hey, if Karl Marx was alive, he would have plenty of clout. Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna close up. Follow Raul. He is on Twitter. What's your Twitter?
I'm not on. I am on Twitter. My Twitter is StarChild91, but I never use it. Follow me on Instagram. It's the same thing, StarChild91. Follow Authentic Discourse on Instagram for updates, highlights, clips. See my beautiful face. Hear me give bad takes. And then follow us on YouTube as well. Just search Authentic Discourse.
And just yell at him. All the time.
Yeah. If I have bad takes, like, feel free to shit on me. I'm here for it.
Follow my podcast too at Psychic Dolphin Garage. I know you guys are listening somewhere, and wherever you're listening, there's more of us. We are on every platform that you could possibly find podcasts on. We are on Facebook and Twitter. We are now on Instagram, so follow us on Instagram.
Hell yeah!
People have been leaving us voicemails. I think that
they
maybe don't understand what a voicemail is, because they're like, hey, is this Psychic Dolphin Garage? And they hang up. Like, if you're going to leave a voicemail, say something. Like, leave us a message. It's like a It's like a short form podcast, but it's just you, and you can say whatever you want to us. Okay?
It's the year of our Lord 2019. Ain't nobody got time for that.
2019. Yeah, no, seriously, like if you leave us a voicemail, we do listen to them. I'm waiting for someone to leave a good voicemail that we can listen to on the podcast or discuss on the podcast. That'd be great.
That would kick
Send us
ass.
an email. Send us an email at Psychic Dolphin Garage. Write a dissertation on why you think that property is an inadequate.
It's bullshit, bro.
Why property analysis is an inadequate descriptor of the issues with cronyism and with the existing paradigm that we live under in imperialist countries. Yeah, get in touch with us, reach out. All these ideas are mine, but I want your ideas because I only have so many at one time.
Hell yeah.
Thank you again for being on roll. Thank you for sticking with us this whole time.
We can only do it together.
And exactly. So I will see all of y'all later.
Bye.